right, good evening, everybody. Happy Saturday night. We are live here on Ken's 5 talking all things weather. Here is a couple of different things, which we'll get into the detail. Obviously, at the top of mind is still the Kerrville and Central Texas flood. As of the latest update from what I've seen, latest fatality count around 120. Of course, that's subject to change with anything and any updates upcoming, through next couple of days, next couple of weeks, which unfortunately has just been one of the most devastating floods, not just in San Antonio Hill Country history, but in Texas history and likely national history. You can see it surpassed Hurricane Harvey with 68 fatalities, and unfortunately we're at about 120, and this is in the top 5 deadliest Texas floods in recorded history. It's just truly devastating. Now below me, right, so first and foremost, on the radar, it's quiet tonight. If you have any plans out there this evening, it's quiet. We'll say mostly clear. It's tomorrow morning, and then especially into the afternoon hours, when the radar will get a little bit more active, we'll see scattered downpours form out west, and they'll eventually move into the Hill Country and then San Antonio, and we could see rounds of pockets of heavy rain. So we have a flood watch that's in effect already now, but again, tonight's quiet. It's just mostly for tomorrow, late morning into the afternoon hours, is when we're going to see the focal point and the highest threat for some localized, heavy rain and localized flooding. So we're watching that very closely. So again, outside right now, these are live camera shots. There's Highway 90, there's 281 at Sonterra Boulevard, there's 410 at Callahan, there's Highway 90 at I-35 looking pretty good. Current conditions, just to reiterate, you can see live cameras everywhere, right? Not much of a concern of rain. We're not expecting any rain this evening. We had a couple of very, very isolated showers in the last few hours, but not much activity is expected tonight. There may be like 1 or 2 isolated downpours north of the city, but mostly quiet on radar. There's not much action popping up in our local viewing area, but that's not to say things won't get a little bit more active tomorrow. Out there, it's mostly clear, a couple of clouds. We'll call it mostly cloudy. This is the airport. 87 feels like 94. Southeast winds at 21 miles an hour. Today was hot. High temperature of 95 in the city officially in San Antonio. Average is 94, so pretty much right in the ballpark for where we typically are in like mid-July. 88 the high temperature in Rock Springs, 90 at Kerrville was the high temperature, and 95 at Del Rio. There were a couple of 99s on the map, especially in Cotulla and near Pearsall, but today 95 degrees in San Antonio. 87 right now in the city, 84 at Bandera, pair 8s in Castroville, 84 in Bulverde. Still 90s out west. It's a very dry, tropical heat towards the Rio Grande, right? Between I-35 and Maverick County, Valverde County. I mean, we're looking at lower 90s at 9 o'clock at night, so it's pretty warm out there. Okay, big weather story. Flash flood watch in effect between now and Sunday evening. Depending on what kind of activity sparks off tomorrow, we're thinking scattered storms. That may be extended through Monday morning. So right now, latest update is through Sunday 7 p.m., but that might be extended if what the models are saying seems to be true. We'll show you that in a second. Here's radar. We'll zoom out and show you some activity up farther north towards Dallas, Waco, really just more of scatter storms. And then we have some storms along eastern Mexico, just west of Laredo at this hour. And we're zooming into Atascosa County. We had a couple of isolated downpours out there earlier this evening. And let's go back to this right here. Notice that again, either farther north or southwest of our area is where it's more abundant on rain and on radar. So here is the flood watch. So Sunday, pretty much between morning and afternoon is when we could see a couple of heavy thunderstorms move through. Not producing hail, not producing much of a wind threat. It's the flooding threat that's going to be a concern just because of the hill country. Obviously, that's everything that's unfolded over these last several weeks. The hill country has already received a ton of rainfall. The drought report has improved vastly for the hill country, but obviously that's come at a cost. And with saturated grounds, saturated soil, all that rain will likely turn into runoff. Their ground probably can't handle much more. Even if they see a storm that produces like 1 to 2, maybe 3 inches of rain, that could be a problem. But on some of the forecast guidance, it's suggesting on some localized areas like 4 to 6 inches of rain. So that's why, while that won't be everywhere, it's not going to be a widespread threat, it's still a isolated threats. So anywhere from Kerr County to Kendall to Bandera to Bear to Hayes County towards Atascosa County, Medina County, that threat is going to be there for tomorrow. So this is the Storm Prediction Center's outlook. So this was originally just kind of that green-yellow color, basically a marginal to a slight risk earlier this evening, but they upgraded it, especially for the northern hill country and especially for central Texas. That's where a lot of the more widespread showers and storms will be, and depending on where exactly they push through parts of Real County, Edwards County, Kerr County, Gillespie County, Kendall County, depending on where exactly they move through, that could lead to a moderate risk of flooding in the hill country, and this does extend farther southeast. Notice that most of Bear County is in the level 2 out of 4, a slight risk, and the green color is a marginal risk, and that extends all the way down to pretty much just north of Cotulla, Atascosa County, Gonzales, and Floresville across Wilson County. Now, I do want to show you a couple different possibilities. So through the overnight, this could happen. Between Kerrville, Rock Springs, towards Fredericksburg, there could be a couple of thunderstorms that get a little bit more active in the overnight. So 1, 2, 3 a.m. north of Kerrville, north of Rock Springs. That could move farther south and east. And again, if these storms move slow, that could be an issue. Just like last Friday where we saw overnight rain produce upwards of like 4 to 5 to 6 inches of rain, that's a possibility. Between Rock Springs, the Concho Valley, Fredericksburg, Kerr County, it's all a possibility into the morning hours. Same thing into the mid-morning where this model is very aggressive on what may happen. So notice that 1 o'clock, there's still rain falling in Kerr County, which can be a problem. This eventually moves into San Antonio, kind of clips the area. Still by about 4, 5, and 6 p.m., a couple of scattered thunderstorms around, but there will be an overnight threat. And watch what happens Sunday night into Monday morning. Another threat of some localized flash flooding. This could be as far south as Uvalde, Eagle Pass, Pearsall, and Hondo. But just remember, this is a forecast model. This is a computer model. This is just showing the potential of what could happen, rain coverage-wise, intensity-wise. Some of these storms could be farther south towards like Laredo, or they could be farther north towards Bandera, towards Rock Springs, towards Kerr County, which is the last thing we want, but it's definitely a possibility, not just into early tomorrow morning while we're asleep between 1 a.m. and 4 a.m., but also between Sunday night into Monday morning as well. And again, this is a forecast model showing what's potential, what's possible to happen. And here's that same forecast map, but superimposed on it is just future rainfall accumulation. So notice that, again, this is just a computer model. It's not saying much in Beeville. It's not saying much in Pleasanton or in San Antonio. So this is one model. Okay, this is the less aggressive. This is the more aggressive one right here. So this one says upwards of 3 to 5 inches of rain possible between Valverde County, I-35, between Burnett County, all the way down to areas of Kendall, Kerr, Bandera, Medina, and Hayes and Bear County. It's a possibility. I do want to say that's worst case scenario because this one right here, this forecast model, is only painting out probably half of what the HRRR is, which is the model you just saw. So this is the less aggressive one. This one's saying on the higher amounts, 2 to 4 inches of rain, and a little less towards the south and east. But still, even that least case scenario, this one right here, can still cause problems. An additional 2 to 3 inches of rain, which is possible in this forecast run, it can be a concern with saturated soils, street flooding, localized areas of heavy rain in the overnight hours. So that is what we're looking at. So again, this is model number 2. This is model number 1, the more aggressive model, and look what it paints out. Between now and about 5 a.m., we'll rewind the clock back, between now and about 5 a.m., it's saying there's a potential at seeing upwards of like between 1/10 to 2 inches of rain in some localized areas between Real, Edwards, Gillespie, and Kerr County. That's in the overnight. And then I think we'll continue to see rain form, and that could potentially drop an additional 2 more inches between there, Bernie, Northern Bear County, Medina County, and Uvalde County. So again, this is worst case scenario on this forecast model. This one's saying a little less. The answer is probably somewhere in between. I think between now and about 5 a.m., there will be some isolated thunderstorms farther north between Valverde County, Rock Springs, Camp Wood, central and western Kerr County and Gillespie County between now and about 5 a.m. And then we'll see additional scattered activity in the late afternoon and evening hours that could amount to some staggering rainfall totals. Again, this is more of an aggressive forecast model you're seeing right here. The other one less aggressive, and I think the answer is somewhere in the middle. I would say on average expect 1 to 3 inches of rain with localized pockets between 4 to 6, maybe a little bit more in some isolated areas. So that's the concern we're looking at overnight. We have a weather impact alert for tomorrow, 50% coverage, not just in the San Antonio area, but also across the hill country, even probably higher coverage of rain towards Kerr County, Gillespie County, and towards Bandera County. So we're watching that very closely. Guadalupe, you're very welcome. Absolutely, absolutely. Whatever happened with hurricane season from Jose, it's still ongoing. We had Andrea in the Atlantic, but that was just a storm out in open water. Barry made landfall in eastern Mexico, which caused the remnants of Barry caused the floods in Kerrville and central Texas. So, just because a storm weakens over land doesn't mean the remnants can't move away from somewhere and cause more problems elsewhere. So, Barry was the last one to do that, and then Chantal was another storm that hit the eastern coast of the United States and caused some flooding, I think in the Carolinas and towards like West Virginia. There was some pretty incredible flood video out of the East Coast last week, and that was because of the third named storm of the season, Chantal with a C. So far, through July, it's relatively quiet for hurricane season, but it really starts to ramp up in August and September. That's the peak of hurricane season. So while we've only seen 3 named storms, Jose, there's still a lot more hurricane season left, so we're going to keep an eye on that as well. Guadalupe, again, you're very welcome. Hope you're doing great as well. Good evening to you and your family and friends. Absolutely. In terms of rain right now, again, guys, it's quiet. I think we'll see rain develop as early as like 1 or 2 a.m. tomorrow morning in the early morning hours, pre-dawn. And we're going to have to watch this area right here across the hill country. Right in this region, I would say between Mason, Junction, Harper, Kerrville, and Rock Springs and Campwood, I think, let me highlight it, like right around here, by about 1, 2, and 3 a.m., we may see a couple of thunderstorms erupt out farther west, and that may be a problem, right? So we're going to have to watch these very closely. From Olga, anything in Castroville? Nothing right now, Olga, but there may be some scattered storms tomorrow. Flood watch in effect until tomorrow evening. Just to reiterate, that might be extended through tomorrow morning. Obviously, not much activity on radar right now, guys, but we may see additional development in this region where I've highlighted for some thunderstorms overnight. Now, between now and about 11 p.m., if you have any late night plans, it should be fine. But if you're watching from Kerr County, Gillespie County, Rock Springs, Junction, Sonora, this highlighted area, we're watching closely in the overnight, and this area could be popping up with a couple of thunderstorms tomorrow morning early. So that's overnight activity. You can see Sunday is this right here. So between the morning and evening, rounds of possible potential rain, and some of those could be heavy downpours and some strong thunderstorms as well. So that is a level 3 out of 4 for excessive rainfall, and that could be a concern. Again, that's just adding insult to injury. Kerr County, Gillespie County, Real County, Kendall County, all in a level 2 to a level 3 risk of some localized flooding. And again, with already saturated soils, with all the rain that's fallen last week, this is going to be a big problem for some areas that pick up an additional 2 to 4 inches of rain, with some isolated areas possibly between 6 to 7. That's just a possibility, but some of the forecast guidance is definitely suggesting that in this highlighted area that's a level 3 out of 4 on the flooding risk for between basically 1 a.m. to about the late afternoon hours. So we're watching that very closely. We're going to keep a close eye on that as well. But yeah, that is the flooding concern for tomorrow. Worst case scenario, overnight storms develop. That leads to a flooding threat overnight. But some models keep the rain and hold it off until late tomorrow morning into the afternoon. But even, I think, the thing is we're in a flood watch between now and about 7 p.m. So all is possible. Overnight activity is possible. Pre-dawn, morning, storms are possible. And then into the afternoon and evening, showers and thunderstorms are possible as well. So we're keeping a close eye on that. And we have the 14-day forecast right here. Absolutely. All right, so we're going to keep this on the 14 a little longer, guys. We're going to be live on Kent's 5 News at 10 with another update. We'll leave it here on this for a little longer, but again, be prepared for any storms. Have a way to receive alerts, watches, and warnings on your phone through the National Weather Service, through the Kent's 5 app. A lot of different ways you can receive alerts, but if you can't, make sure to download the Kent's 5 app. It is free in the App Store. You can scan this QR code and download that. It is free, and you can get notifications, push alerts on radar and activity that is likely to expect to start to form tomorrow morning and tomorrow afternoon. So stay weather aware, guys, and be safe out there. We'll have another update on Kent's 5 News at 10 on the severe weather risk and the flooding concern in the Hill Country and around San Antonio.